Welcome back. This is the newspaper review segment this morning, and we have the Nation newspaper with us. CBN set 5 years timeline on checks storage. We also have APC to Saraki resign now. Well, I'm going to read that story instead of just taking the headlines. I will read the story in the Nation newspaper this morning. I'm asking the Senate president to resign now. Let's see where the story is at. Okay, it says here the Senate President Bukola Saraki came under fire yesterday, 24 hours after he announced his defection from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The APC, which on Tuesday queried him for breaching Article 21 of the party's constitution, asked him to resign his position because the PDP is the minority party in the Senate, and they are asking him resign now.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this yesterday that after his defection to PDP, would he still be the leader of the House? Because being a Senate president happens only when your party is majority. But as of now, the party PDP is the minority, except maybe they're waiting till September 20, not 22nd, I think September 18 when the House reconvenes, and then who knows if more defection will happen. But again, APC wants to be smart. They don't know what is going to happen when the National Assembly comes back from the recess. So would they have more defections? Would that make the PDP? The majority in the House? Everybody's trying to. I think there's a politics that is going on at the moment.
Okay, but very interesting story here. I must just quote what the national leader is saying, Adams Oshomole. He says, "You should not collect a crown that belongs to a family. If for your personal reasons it has gone to another family, it is just a matter of honor to leave the crown in the house that belongs to the family." So there's a crown, and they are not going to allow him to take the crown away. He must resign. Away from that, we have another one, Buhari for 10 days holiday in London. And the vice president will be taking over on his stead. We also have this one in the papers, Tambuwa, 18 Sokoto lawmakers join PDP. More defection. Still in the papers, work begins on Lagos Rail's Standard Lodge. Yes, we also have this, Eagle star Kenneth arrives in Turkey. That's all we will take from the Nation newspaper this morning.
Okay, moving on to the Daily New Telegraph, we have here, Tabawal punches Buhari, and it comes with a writer that says, Sokoto government's party spokesman, 41 lawmakers dump APC. And that you can find on page 2 of the New Telegraph. We'll just take that story real quick. It says, Governor Aminu Tabawal has returned a damning verdict on the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari and the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress. The Sokoto State governor declared that both Buhari and APC have failed to meet the expectations of Nigerians. Tabawal defected from APC to PDP with 18 of the 30-member Sokoto State House of Assembly yesterday. This is coming after he announced his defection. But then, would you say it is right after your defection, after you defected from a party to, proclaim a damning verdict on the party and the ruling president who is a member of the party?
Proclaiming what you mean?
Having to say
bad things and condemning the parties. Well, this is politics. This kind of things is what you expect when you begin to look at the bad side of politics. Some people, if they're in a party, and when Tambuwa defected, he gave his reasons yesterday. We saw what he said, what led him to changing his mind. When he came on board, he said what he expected wasn't what he's saying. They fought for this, and he's not getting what he expected. So there are reasons, and he gave his reasons, and I don't think anything is bad in that. You're free to give your reasons. You're free to leave a party if you think the party is not doing well enough.
But these are the same reasons they gave in 2014 for leaving PDP. And they're giving the same reasons now for leaving APC.
Maybe they will leave to Vira's party someday. They have to move.
You really, I mean, like, the question question he asked. If you want, for me, I just think if you want to leave, you should leave.
Peacefully.
Peacefully, defect, do not come. I know trying to justify why you're leaving is why a lot of people are giving all of these reasons, but just leave if you want to.
But you cannot leave because you have your people backing you up. You came from somewhere. Some people voted you in, they elected you to be there. So you cannot leave without a reason. You must give us reason for leaving, for God's sake. And I think that's what they are doing, because if you say you are in a party and people voted, elected you through the party, are you telling me that you just wake up one morning and say you're not doing it again and no reason? There must be reasons for you to move or cross carpet from one party to the other. But what we're saying here is there must be genuine reason. It must be about the people. It shouldn't be just about yourself. It must be about the people. And what the law says, you must consult with your people before moving. I hope he's done all that.
Okay, we have appeal court okays NAS to reorder polls sequence. The story says the Court of Appeal in Abuja Division yesterday gave a go-ahead to the National Assembly in its billing seeking to reorder the sequence in which the 2019 general elections are to be conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The court, while delivering judgment in an appeal filed by the National Assembly, set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, which restrained the National Assembly from legislating on sequence of elections for the commission. This one says, APC to defectors, we are concerned with the 2019 elections. The All Progressive Congress APC has said that its priority for now is about the 2019 general elections, not the defections of its party members to the People's Democratic Party. Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal yesterday dumped the APC for PDP.
Yes, Aminu Tambuwal, yesterday we saw the crowd. If you get hold of the Punch newspaper, you see the picture story of the crowd welcoming him. But I said before you took this one, before you say you're making a U-turn from a party, Precious said something the previous in 2014, 2015, we saw them moved and they gave their reasons. We saw an alliance together and that worked out and also helped. But now the question is this going to work? That's the question. And what is next for those governors that stepped down from their parties? What is next? What are their ambitions? What are we going to be seeing come 2019? Our fingers are crossed.
Well, it's a fact that it's all party politics. Everybody wants to win, and it seems that the APC having gone through all of these crises and challenges and criticisms and critics throughout its tenure, they would probably look at it in the reason that they defect to a party that they feel might have an edge in the coming 2019 election. But then I think it's only right that when your party is having all of that crisis, you work together. You work together and make sure this crisis is being eliminated, if you ask me. But then, and when you have all of these party politicking, you have these coalitions in one party. I think it's one of the things that brings about the crisis in the party. And coming 2019 election, I would only advise the APC to focus more on its tenure. What can you do?
In tenure, I don't know. You are now giving an advice, giving a question, giving an address, and not conclude. But let her talk. Yes, on that. Yes, you say something.
When people within the Constitution, you have the right to move, which is and you must respect that right. Anybody who wants to defect has the right within the Constitution. But the thing is, people who are defecting to the PDP might not necessarily create a general acceptance of the party. It doesn't mean that because people think that, oh, what will happen to APC in 2019? I mean, who is going to win that election is still not clear. It doesn't then, because again, PDP ruled for 16 years. And Nigerians have, good, bad, fantastic, not so fantastic experience of that party. And so also the same thing with the APC. It doesn't create a general acceptance. And the fact that governors are defecting doesn't mean that that state automatically belongs to the opposition. For example, a state like Sokoto State, as much as Tambuwal is the governor of that state, you also have someone who is as strong as Senator Wamaku. in the
APC, yeah.
So you cannot say that automatically this party now has that state, because it doesn't mean that the governor is the strongest politician in a particular state. You still have stronger people who are in the other party. So for now, it's still not a call for any party. It might not even be the APC or the PDP in 2019. So, I mean, it depends on the electorate at the end of it.
But I also take to that what you've said. If you have crisis in a party, what causes crisis first is what you need to sit down and look at. All of this thing happening, is it going to be favorable to the electorate? It's important to look at the electorate because they are the back ends. They are the ones that the receiver, you know, they are the ones that will go through whatever situation they are going through. Because if you look at these politicians, some of them are well-to-do, they're very comfortable, but what about the electorate? So we're looking at this defection. A lot of people have looked at defection and saying it is healthy for democracy for people to argue and counter-argue. But looking at it, for us to be sincere with what is happening in Nigeria today, it is not new, it is not strange. Yesterday I talked about how Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe also had issues in 1951. And if you look at what happened preceding the election of 2015, it's the same situation we are seeing again, where a group of persons or parties came together and say, hey, enough is enough. And they had genuine reason for doing that. And Nigerians, the electorate, citizenry, supported that ahead of that election, and we saw it in elections when we saw the results. But looking at what is going to happen in 2019, loads of political analysts, loads of onlookers and observers are saying it might not just work that way, because Nigerians' eyes are now open, and some are saying it might be good for us to have this kind of situation so that the electorate will get themselves educated, and what they need is just their PVC to accept or reject whoever that comes, you know, knocked on their door come 2019. So let's keep looking at it, and we are not the judge, but we are looking, and we're going to bring in loads of information to the public so that they can also look at it together and make a strong decision. That's the decision we're waiting for in 2019.
Okay, moving on. Court orders arrest of INEC chairman over contempt. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja yesterday issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, of disobedience of court order. The trial judge, Justice Stephen Palm, gave the order for the arrest of Mahmood following his absence in court to show cause why he should not be committed to prison for alleged contempt of court. Now that is a wrong move anyway, if you'd ask me. If you're being invited by the court to show for some trial or hearing, it's only right that you show concern and be present for that.
That yes. You have a counsel. Your counsel should also say,
stand for you.
My client will be in court today for this reason and for that reason.
Okay, that's what I said when I started this program. When we started this program this morning, I said there are three central things to the development of a nation, and especially like a nation like Nigeria. But looking at the three, I talked about the material resources and I talked about human capital and the rule of law. The question now is, do we really obey the rule of law? Do we understand what it means? Do we respect the rule of law? These are part of the things that we need to begin to deal with as a people that will even help in development.
Okay, this one says Akume offered 22 lawmakers 88 million naira to impeach me, and that is coming from Governor Otun. I'll take the first two paragraphs. It says, embattled Governor of Benue State, Dr. Samuel Otun, has accused his estranged political godfather and Senator George Akume offering 88 million naira to 22 lawmakers in the State House of Assembly to fast-track his impeachment over allegations of funds, misappropriation, and enactment of the grazing law. Well, if you ask me, this is an allegation anyway, and coming from the governor. Though questions were asked when the impeachment process was started as regards Governor Samuel Otun, a lot of questions were asked, allegations flew, and this is one of them that says, okay, 22 lawmakers were given 88 million.
Allegedly, because
Allegedly.
But the thing
An accusation.
It's always going to be that way. I mean, this is politics. Akume was a former governor of the state. He had a very good relationship with, Autumn before this whole defection issue. And I think that the defection might have taken, a toll on the relationship. And then, but eventually, there's something Obasanjo said when he was in Rivers State, and Governor Amechi was still, Amechi was still the governor at the time. And he said there are no enemies in politics. What you have is basically oppositions, because oppositions today can become friends tomorrow. So that's the thing, that when you look at, sometimes when you look at all of this politics, sometimes you see them at war on pages of the paper, and then they're at events and they're having, a good time together. It just makes you realize that, look, it's about, at that moment for them, it's about an agenda, but away from that, and I think that's what the electorate also need to start learning, that you can't fight the battle, the quote of a politician, because really for them it's about that agenda. When they are done, they leave it there. When they meet each other outside, they are civil. But we've had electorates who take issues. Even there was a time where people fought, I think it was an event center there about a club, I can't remember what it was. They took it out of social media. They had an argument on social media about politicians, so ran into each other outside and really fought with each other, and then the news broke. So we need to also see it in that view, that look, this is not about enmity, this is about opposition. And it's not really about opposition, it's about opposition of views at this moment, opposition of interest. And once that is done, everybody moves on. Yeah,
but just the way you said it, they shouldn't be used. Because if you allow yourself to be used, you lose a lot of family members, you lose friends, and they are still together after all. Now they are cross-carpeting the defect from one party to the other. They are now friends, their enemies are now friends, because they want to achieve a particular goal. And so if you are that person waiting to be used, you're going to be gone forever, but they are still there with their families. So let's just, it's all about the electorate really, and the decision lies amongst us.
Okay, I'll take his last headline. It says, Buhari inspects campaign office, returns to London. That's for his 10 days holidays. And that will be all from the New Telegraph.
Okay, before we go into the next paper, we'll go on this break now. And when we come back, we'll take the Daily Trust and the Punch newspaper. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, we're still taking some of the stories in the papers, but we want to start with the Daily Trust.
Now, on the front page of the Daily Trust, a major headline reads, Buhari meets APC governors, leaders as Tambuwal returns to PDP. The writer says, give us back our crown, Oshomole tells Saraki. That story begins on the front page of the Daily Trust and continues on page 5. Still on the front page, Osinbajo to act as Buhari begins vacation in London. Details on page 3. Federal government sets up team to unbundle railways. You will find details of that on page 17 of the Daily Trust. On the bottom strip here, withholding my salary is unlawful, and that's coming from the Lubad of Ibadan. You find details on page 6. National Assembly has power to alter election sequence. That's coming from the appeal court. You find details on page 7. And this is a very sad story. It says, man impregnates, infects 14-year-old girl with HIV. You find details on page 30.
Okay, moving away from that, we take the Punch newspaper, and it says, Saraki must resign as Senate President, says Oshomole. And the writer says, Tambuwal joined PDP, Knox Buhari, and APC. This one is saying, Adamu Omagege plotting Saraki's removal. This is coming from the PDP reps. And this is news analysis, and the analysis is saying, Governor Aminu Tambuwal, what is next? What's next? It's a question. Security votes probe Buhari's first, then Otomo tells EFCC, go and probe Buhari first. Ondo youth block Lagos Benin Expressway to protect blackout. I don't know. I don't think they are the only ones in it. And we have Olu Ibadan may relieve high chiefs of their post. It's in the Punch this morning. Court orders INEC chair arrest for contempt. And finally, Buhari begins 10 days vacation in the UK this Friday. Well, this is all we can take from the newspaper review. Now we want to look at the judiciary, looking at the rule of law in our judiciary. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. We're looking ahead of 2019 election. It's very important that every day that passes by before that election, we bring to you pressing discussions to sensitize the people also on how they can get their PVCs, get to vote in that election. But we're going to be looking at the politics of election in Nigeria, and today we have a guest, a legal practitioner in the studios. We have Barrister Destiny Tanko. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Thank you and good morning, viewers. It's been a while. Good to be here again.
Yes, when we started this program, I said something about 3 central points where that can lead to development of a nation. We're looking at the material resources, we look at if you want to look at the human capital, and we're looking at the rule of law, and all of these things can make a nation develop faster than you think. But looking at what is happening in Nigeria, looking at the politics where people had defected from one party to another, where some people had been questioned and some people, they're saying they don't obey the rule of law, and all of these things happening because of an election. Do you think this is healthy for the nation?
Well, about being healthy or not for the nation, I wouldn't give a straight answer as to whether it's yes or no. I would rather go by way of summation and explanation. You know, yeah, of course we have defections. That's been playing out. It has it's a positive and negative angles, and also as to how it's good for our country. You want to ask, you know, it's normal for a person to defect from one party to the other. It is not illegal, so to say, but of course it also points, it's a very negative indication, it's a red flag. It's something that talks very bad about us as a people, as our way of doing things, you know, as to the fact that we lack principles, we lack integrity. We are not the kind of people or nation. Our politicians are not the set of people who are basically the picture they present, you know, shifting from pillar to post, you know, simply show that we are not people who have at the back of their mind ideology. We are not the kind of people who have at the back of their mind, you know, the welfare of the people and what's best for the country as against what's good for them, the politicians. You know, so today a person is in the APC, tomorrow is in PDP, the day afterward is in CDC, call it whatever other party. You know, the fair weather politicians, they're people who, once they realize that it's no more going well for me here, you know, because it's all about them, you know, they shift base, you know, it's not, it doesn't speak well of ideology, of principles, and of integrity in our electoral system, in our politics, and in our democracy. You know, out there in the UK, in the US, if you are in the Conservative Party, for instance, you know, in the UK, you know that there are families that are known to be there. Of the Labour Party, you know, they are known to be there for generations, you know. And you go to the same thing, the Republicans in the US and others, you know that you can predict a state is Republican. You know, why is that? Because of principles, because of integrity, because you'll be able to project. It tells the people who are there for the purpose of ideology. People who believe in, you know, bringing to bear a certain system of governance which they think is not available. So they provide a suitable alternative or position for the people to decide and say, okay, if these people have failed us, and then we know this is the ideology of these people, let us try them. And you can actually judge them by the ideology. What do we have in Nigeria? What is the ideology of PDP? What is the ideology of the APC, of CPC, of any other party? You know? I'm sure maybe CPC will resurrect now with what is happening with the APC.
Just to pick up on ideology, which is where you left off, when you look at the issues in Nigeria, I mean, are there really issues that can form an ideology in this country? Because when you look at the ideology, for example, let's use the US, you know, there are issues on immigration, there are issues on taxes, there are issues on pro-choice or pro-life. Those are, you know, basic issues. But here, do we really have those kind of issues that can become an ideology for the party?
Of course we have the issues. But like you heard me say, you know, I've said that we do not do democracy or politics of ideology, of integrity, of principles. That's what I'm saying basically. You know, that's the problem. So the defections here and there are clear pointers to what is happening. Now I've asked, I say, what is, that's the last question I asked. I say, what is the ideology of PDP, of APC, you know, of SDP that's coming up, and every other one? And even in the past dispensations, we are not a nation where you can clearly hold on to and say this is what the PDP stands for. You know, this is what the APC stands for. You know, that's the problem. So you would have had a situation where, okay, what do we do here? What was the APC saying before they came into governance? Take out PDP, vote out because you need security, vote out because you need electricity. We would serve meals for children and all of that. Vote us because of this and because of that. You know, those are basic needs, necessities, the principles, fundamental principles of governance that every party should do. Those things don't form ideology. Ideology is not based on that. Provision of electricity, you know, of security, of basic welfare of citizens. Those can't form ideology. Like you said, you can talk about basic issues like immigration, you know, the economy, and you know, other things that you can dwell on that you can say this party does not, you know, has zero tolerance to immigration. If you're not Nigerian and you want to come into Nigeria, this is what you must fulfill. Our borders are porous. Togolese, Beninoi, Nigerians, Chadians, Cameroonians walk in and out, you know. Your petroleum product, your goods move in and out, you know, they are porous. You know, so that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. So we have the same issues. We're a nation with the same needs like every other nation. But the thing is about having to restructure, you know, a mode of doing politics, you know, practicing democracy, of what the parties should stand for, you know. And that's why, of course, because of these, you know, how do I put it, this blank check that every party has. That's why you also see that there's no democracy internally within the parties. And the problem we keep having, I've talked about this here and elsewhere before, you see, who emerges as your leader? That's why today we're talking about Nigerians having to be involved in the electoral process. The apathy has not helped anybody in the past, all right? Where everybody just thinks that, oh, whether I vote or not, nothing happens. No, now it does appear that voting, your vote counts. They are paying for votes.
Okay, but looking at this,
no, I was going somewhere. If you let me, you know, they are paying for votes. You know, so it matters. Who emerges as a leader starts from who emerges as a candidate in the party. So if you have a system as we have now, where there's no integrity, no principles, no ideology, you have a band of, I'm sorry, I'm on TV, I'm trying to be careful with the language you use.
Yeah,
a band of people who are, at most you say, misfits, all right? They are those determining the destiny of people who are 100 times better than them.
Okay, I will allow you continue so
morally,
that we don't pass.
And otherwise.
I will allow you come to that because I want to ask you, based on what you've been talking about, looking at what you have said so far, it is obvious that you're saying that we've not been privileged or we've not been blessed enough with good leaders. Is that what you're saying? Certainly.
Not for want of those who would have been made as good leaders. That's it. Because, I mean, the world has acknowledged us. We have the best brains. We have the best human capital, capital all over the world, right? Now, the problem is the system that I'm talking about that continually produces misfits in governance. People who know little to nothing, who should have no business, as a matter of fact, having to hold the reins of governance and determine the lives of 180 or 200 million, whatever our population is.
You said the system. Can we know some of these systems you've identified that is not making us really move forward in democracy? What are the systems you think we have in place?
Yes, I started with the fact that we have to restructure a system of democracy, of party politics, and of how we play politics, and I've talked about the absence of, I mentioned 3 basic principles, ideology, and what's the other one? And then I've also talked about the lack of internal democracy, within the parties, because that is even where it affects us the most. Where you have a situation where in every part of the country, in every state, you have entrenched powers, and godfathers who determine who gets a ticket to run on the platform of that party. The electorates are faced with the issue of having to choose from a bunch of, like I said in my own words, a bunch of misfits, where the best that's available, that we could have, are not given the opportunity because the godfather or the entrenched powers in every state or every geopolitical zone think that, of course, it's our country, that's what's happening. If a Destiny Takon is given a ticket, this one is independent minded, this one is pro-people, this one will not be amenable to us, this one cannot be controlled, so that's why I say the reason our people can move from tower to post easily is because it's not about the country, it's not about the people, it's about their interest. And the same thing, the godfathers care about their own interest and not the interest of the nation. Otherwise, you allow the party should be a platform where the best of Nigerians can aspire, and then of course be given tickets with a free and fair democratic procedure that would result in the emergence of good candidates.
Something you said earlier, and where you left off now, you said a band of misfits, and you talked about that in terms of capacity to lead. But I want to look at that in terms of the the coalition of people within a party. You talked about ideology. Could that be the reason for defection, where one person believes in one thing, and you have people who believe in different things in one party because this parties do not have an ideology? For example, somebody might believe in privatization within a party and somebody else doesn't. Could that be the reason for all of these defections we see during election years?
If it is, it will be very remote. From what I've said, it's possible, but it will be very remote. For those who defect in Nigeria, I said all parties do not have any clear-cut ideology, without exception. So it's not a question of you left party A to B because of ideology, right? So I've said if it is a consideration, it will be very remote. It is much more about the fact that there's love lost, between those people in one party, and then they decide to say, oh, it's no more convenient, it's getting too hot here, I can't stay here any further. Or like it happened with the 2015 election, all right? The PDP was in government, the presidential election came in, the APC won, because there's too much concentration of power at the center. Because governance, determines the lives of Nigerians. to the degree of, but you say 90%. So, and because people are completely subservient and all they see and hope is, oh, if APC is at the center, we better go APC. We can't be PDP in our state. When the APC is at the center, it won't go well for us. So landslide. You had lots and lots of state go APC. Not because indeed, if that election had turned otherwise, it would have been the APC. That is, if you understand what I'm saying, that's the nature of politics in Nigeria. Because people are only after what they can get, not because of ideology, not because of principles. How many Nigerians have been able to say, look, I'm a member of the PDP or of the APC, and no matter what happens, I stay here. You know, provide a suitable and formidable opposition so as to give Nigerians the alternative, the opportunity to choose, you know, because of ideology, because of principles, you know, because of people, or because of integrity. Saying, I stand here and I'm saying this is what we can do it better, but what you're doing is not right. So you see, that's the total problem we have. Absence of ideology and selfishness, self-seeking politicians who are, of course, like you said, so that divests them of the capacity to lead. Because a leader must be altruistic. He must be a selfless person. He must be nationalistic. He must be somebody who looks ahead for the future of the country, who sees he wants to make his country competitive with other nations. You know, we are in a global village, and so we cannot be static or go backward. You know, to like sadly what we have in Nigeria today. Okay, we should be moving forward.
Okay, you talked about not having a principle. Basically, that's ideology. You don't seem to see any ideology in what we're doing right now. Does that mean that we have to go back to the drawing board? Does that mean that what we're doing is not it at all? And where do we start from?
Exactly. That is it. You had me say restructure. I mentioned it twice.
How do we?
What to do is, you know, I've talked about this here and elsewhere too, about the fact that the best ideology we can have generally, first, we need an ideology, a national ideology. All right, like you say in the U.S., the American dream. Okay, we need to have a clear-cut Nigerian dream, Nigerian ideology. Where we want to go, where we want to be in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It's not about like the observation, this and that. It's been
or change begins.
It's you know, and all of that. You know, it's something that we come up with that every Nigerian is committed to its implementation, so that every party, it doesn't matter what party, emerges at the center. You know, that party will be judged in its performance. Not essentially first as to its ideology, which may have made people vote them, but as to how well you have implemented the Nigerian dream. How far have you taken us in that direction, in that, you know, in that focus? It becomes a national focus. How well have you taken us in that direction? So it's not about whether it's APC or PDP or SDP or CDC or whatever party. So we need to have that first of all. And then parties need to have a clear-cut ideology where we know that this is what this party stands for. You know, this party is pro-immigration, this party is pro-citizenship, this party is pro-labor, this party is pro, you know, science and all of that, technology. We need to know those things and say.
Sorry, I just want to clarify to the first point you made. You said that we need to have a national ideology.
Clear-cut national ideology.
In a country where we politicize everything, if somebody says something, you look at it through the lens of politics. How do we arrive there?
Before you answer that question, we need to open the phone lines. You can call and make your contributions. Let's prefer a solution. Looking at politics of election in Nigeria, that is not really good enough. What do you think we need to do now? The lines are open. You can call and make your contributions. Please go ahead.
Yes, the question was...
in a country where we politicize everything, how do we arrive at a national ideology? Whose job is that?
Yeah, exactly what we're saying, as against what I've said and what you just asked, is saying, how do we move from where we are? I'm saying we're here because we lack a clear-cut national ideology, all right? Because we lack a Nigerian dream. So, as I've said, it should be a dream that every Nigerian, so that's what I'm saying. Every Nigerian should be involved, you know, every adult. And this is something that should be even taught, you know, it should be taught at the schools, at early stages of life, from kindergarten to primary to secondary school to university. So that, you see, the thing is, our educational system also has a lot to play in what we become. Driving away this morning, I had a lot of thoughts about, I talk every day driving on the road. There are a lot of things I cannot do. As a person, I've told myself, I can never do these things, even if everybody is doing them. Go one way, do whatever, beat the traffic light. I would not. I see that back there. Sometimes with my wife, and so my wife can easily just talk. So I'm saying that we are people who should come and all of us say, let's get committed to changing the way we do things, because it has not helped us. It's like saying it's a foolish man that does the same thing repeatedly day in and day out, year in and year out, and expects a different result.
Sir, I don't think you've answered my question. The question is, who pushes, who comes up with that dream? Whose job is it?
That's what I'm saying.
To lead that dream.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't done, you know. I wasn't done. I was still birthing it, all right? Now, I would have said as to, okay, let me be specific now, since you're saying I should be specific. Who draws up a national plan? Who comes up with a national vision or dream? You know, it should be something like, all I'm saying now is conscientizing everybody, right? That's what I'm doing. So we get to a point everybody agrees and say, yes, we need a Nigerian dream, okay? And then we decide, will it come from the National Assembly, which if it were truly representative of the will of the people?
Okay, I'm going to hold you on there, please. Godwin, good morning to you. Godwin, good morning to you. Okay, go ahead.
You know, so at that point when everybody is, you know, the awareness has been created and we all come to the same page where we decide and say, look, indeed, we cannot continue laying these building blocks on this faulty foundation. We need to start, you know, from afresh. Let's knock down what we have and start afresh. So we decide whether it's the National Assembly, as I said, if indeed, of course, we expect naturally or ideally the National Assembly should be the State House of Assembly, but down in the councils, up to National Assembly, they should ideally be representatives of the people. So they ideally the right people to say, okay, let's take from amongst them, you know, take from councillors to State of Assembly,
okay, Godwin
to
is back.
National
Godwin,
Assembly.
Sorry about that. Godwin, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Godwin. Okay, sorry. Yes.
So we would say we take from amongst them and form a college of some sort. You know, you might call it, we've used terms like Constituent Assembly in this nation or whatever other appellation, all right? And commit them to formulate, all right, a Nigerian dream, which of course we would always from time to time review, you know, so that it will fall in place with changing times and situations and circumstances. But we should have that, all right? So we could either say the National Assembly should do it, or a Constituent Assembly or a college should do it, all right? And that's the way to go. And so we formulate that, and then everybody, as I said, if we have all come to the same page, we expect that everybody will have the passion to drive it, to want to judge. It's not about like you read today in the papers, on social media, you know, even where a party is doing woefully wrong, you have people still standing up because they believe it's my party. It shouldn't be my party, it should be my country. I posted something on my Facebook wall about, you know, what, who was that, one of the past American presidents said about, you know, who a patriot is, all right? Who a nationalist is. We should be nationalists. We should be patriots. Over and above party interests. We should be Nigerians who want to deliver the Nigerian project, who want to see a nation where everybody has a sense of responsibility and belonging, who want to bequeath a better country to our children and our posterity, who want to see a Nigerian that can compete with the best nation known today in the world.
We know that politics is being played everywhere in the world, and it depends on how you see it, negatively or positively. Some have genuine mind for their country, while some, God knows what they have for a country like this. But looking at the executive, the legislature, and looking at the judiciary, do you think there's a disconnect in their role when it comes to putting the nation forward first?
There is, as we speak, but there shouldn't be. Ideally, that's why, from the basics, when you read government, all right, you have the three arms of government in democracy is ours, or in the federal system, and you have checks and balances. You learn that in government, as I said, at a very early stage. And the essence of this is that these are three arms of one hand, all right, that work together in synergy to ensure the health and well-being.
Okay, go ahead.
The health, well-being of the hand, and so there shouldn't be a disconnect, as a matter of fact. That's why you say there's checks and balances. Everybody, they are constitutionally defined rules, even as it is today. They are constitutionally defined rules. And we do not need any arm of government that turns dictatorial, to want to usurp the powers of any other arm or other arms put together. It's not a unitary system. That's why you have three separate arms of government. But so ideally,
politics entered all of this.
Yes, ideally, that's the way it should work, all right? They are all working to deliver the constitutional rules as envisaged for the government and the nation to move forward, all right? When it comes to execution of policies, formulation and execution of policies.
I'll come back to that. We have Francis. Francis, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Francis. Maybe we should just hold on the calls and just move ahead. Yes.
So, ideally, if it comes to execution...
Good morning, Francis. Okay.
If it comes to formulation and execution of policy, the executive is there. If it comes to lawmaking and, of course, the oversight functions of the National Assembly, the legislature, the National Assembly is there. If it comes to adjudication and interpretation of the law, and the resolution of disputes between arms of government and also between citizens and between citizens and institutions and authority and institutions and government, the judiciary is there. So that's how government ideally works. Those are the three arms of government. But what do you have? As I said, in our system, you have sadly a situation where, you have an executive that is so powerful, that has arrogated to itself powers even beyond what, are constitutional powers, and to even wade into the functions of other arms of government. Or you have a legislature that has decided and said, because the executive is usurping its other powers, we also want to show that we are the legislature. You can do this. We hold you to ransom. All right? And then the worst hit, perhaps, is the judiciary, where that receives knocks from everywhere. I give an instance. You have the NJC, National Judicial Commission, Council, that takes care of, that disciplines errant judges. All right? That's a constitutional provisional avenue to deal with complaints against judges. You cannot, because you're the executive, as has happened in this nation, wake up one day without having to channel whatever petition to the NJC that has the constitutional competence to investigate and discipline errant judges, and say you have a DSS, that is manned by either a brother, a cousin, or whatever, and then decide and say, go knock the doors of judges off at 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. in a gestapo style.
We'll come back to that, because that's very important that we look at as well. But Francis is back. Francis, good morning to you. Okay, we might just... Maybe we'll leave this. We'll just leave calls for today, and maybe by tomorrow we'll open the phone lines. It's obvious that something is wrong somewhere. Yes.
So you can do that. The gestapo style operation, knock the doors of judges, get into the houses and begin to harass them, arrest them, and begin to winch hunt them.
Okay, Francis. Let's go ahead.
So I've said that's a typical instance of what I'm saying. So which is very, very saddening. No matter how you feel, no matter what, it's not an individual thing. It's not a personal thing. It is not a question of supremacy, between arms of government. The Constitution has defined what, and everybody must conform or comply with it. So it's if you have a complaint, you must go to the NJC against any judge. If the NJC does not act, you go to court and compel the NJC to act. You can do that. And that's a democracy. That's the rule of law works.
Okay, well, you talked about, you just mentioned...
Johnson, sorry, I said we should end because we just have a few more minutes to go. Good morning to you, Johnson. Johnson, you need to turn down. You need to turn down the volume of your TV set. Okay. I think you don't even, I think you've not been following up. Maybe you just changed on, you know.
And if he has watched me before here or elsewhere, so he will know that this is the way I talk about national issues.
But looking at it, Johnson, we wanted people to prefer solutions. Tell us if we are doing this bad belly, so that's what we call it in our country here, politics, where we have this politics of elections in our country that is affecting us really negatively. What can we do to stop this? And we needed people to call in to prefer solutions to that. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, so what he said now was what I was going to say next. You know, I talked about the raid or the invasion of you know, the privacy in the left judges, and then the most recent one, which is what he, even before he talked, he said the other thing about look at what was going to happen at the National Assembly. So you decide, you know, you're the executive, you carry your DSS, the army, the police, wage war on the Senate president and his deputy, and probably even the, who knows, the Speaker of the House of Reps. You know, you're not coming out today. Before you're out here, we'll come up and say whatever happened, you were not, you were absent, there's been a sitting, you've been impeached. You know, all of these things I say just show the fact that these are people, a bunch of, when I said it earlier, I didn't receive it to APC.
But the police denied that. The police denied that.
They denied what? We saw that on video, had video evidence of police officers and police vehicles and what, I mean, we're Nigerians, for God's sake, you know, so it's just like people wanting to abduct Dino Malayi. We know, of course, Dino has his issues too, and then when they fail, they say it was not police. Now, if he was abducted and he was dead, they will come up and say, well, the man probably offer all sorts of explanations. We have seen all sorts of explanations offered by people in this government and the governments in the past. You know, when a nation where a thing is happening black, you know, black and blue, and everybody's seeing, and government comes up with a position and says, whatever you saw, you probably had, you know, some myopia in your eyes or something.
Francis, finally, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
The problem we are facing right now in Nigeria is fear. Do you remember Stella said something one day? He said, until we Nigerians have to take the responsibility of fighting this fear, nobody wants to die. We want to live. None of us go to the streets to fight for these people. If you remember or recall, something happened in Turkey. When it really happened that the military began to go out of Turkey, the citizens came out. They fought. They fought soldiers. They fought army. So how many people in Nigeria can come out to fight these people? It's very in the same DSS, the same army, we fight each other on basically on one person. We as the citizens, the young, the old, the male, the female, we need to come out and fight these people. In fact, Nigeria needs revolution.
Fight which people? Who are you fighting?
Yes, we need to fight these big men.
Okay.
Just 3 billion, putting money in the tank, putting our money. Look at the country. I just heard that 9 million people lost their jobs. Is that not insane? Over 15 million youth today are unemployed. That's insane. We need to do something about this. We need to remove these leaders. We need to crush out all these people who are to just people. We need to shut them down. We are tired of godfatherism. We are not, in fact, we need change in this. They are not necessarily change. If you look at it from
Francis, I needed to ask you a question before you continue. I wanted to ask you, yes, Francis, can you hear me? Are we not part of, are the electorate not part of what is happening when we say politics of elections? Are we not part of it?
Yeah, we are part of all these things. We need enlightenment. We need to enlighten the youth that, look, these people are just using us. These people are telling us, they are telling us stupid things to cajole us, to pick up, to hoping for them. We need to stop all this. We need to enlighten our people. In China, a little child of 2 years, you know.
Okay, thank you so much, Francis. It would have pained me if I'd missed you again, but thank you so much. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, Superdawn continues. Please stay with us.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, before we went on that break, Francis made mention of loads of things because I had to ask him, are we not part of what is happening when we say bad politics or politics of elections? Are we not, the electorate, not part of it? But you heard what he said. So what's your take?
Yes, I did. Indeed, as you asked, I'd say the electorates are a huge part of it, you know. But first of all, before I go to how they are part of it, Francis talked about Nigerians having to fight. All right, yes, you would fight, not physically, you know. The best way to fight is not by being violent, you know. You give justification for a dictator to rule the cannons and the guns and extinguish your life with justification. So you don't go violent, all right? The best violence is your PVC. We've been talking about it. You see it every day on social media and elsewhere. And you're wondering, it's been hyped too much. No, it's not overhyped. Let every Nigerian who is 18 years old and above, who is sane, get his or her PVC. It is your weapon, it's your gun, it's your bomb, it's your thing to fight a bad government, a government you do not like or want. Get your PVC. Now, this is the beauty of it, all right? If we all have our PVCs, and for instance, we have 150, you know, let's say 100 million registered voters, and we turn out because we are pained with what is happening in our country, and we all vote. You see, you have a conviction to resist the government, knowing that you didn't vote for this person who's been declared as a winner. Then we can come out and do what you had the Arab Spring. You saw what happened in Ukraine years back. You talked about Francis talked about what happened in Turkey. You know, that's part of the Arab Spring. All right, we can come out as Nigerians and do civil demonstrations and disobedience. All right, but you see, the conviction to do that can only come when you know you voted and that you didn't vote the person who was declared. So if I know out of 3 of us, Vera, did you vote this person? Did you vote? And I said no. So how was it declared? And we said no, we disagree. And then we can decide and say the NLC says total strike. You know, that is allowed worldwide. Okay, we're not taking arms. civil disobedience against a bad government.
We'll get this last caller. There's a last caller.
See,
No, I'll come back to that, but there's a last caller here. Titus, good morning to you. Okay.
So the other angle with the electorates are involved. So first of all, you are the one that determines who you're the kingmaker. So get your PVC so that you can have the conviction to say, I refuse. I do not agree with this. But the other part, that the electorates have been responsible, we have seen that in Ekiti State most recently, let me not mention other states, where vote buying. The fact that they now buy votes tells you that the system is gradually becoming healthy and having integrity. So they know that your vote counts. But you see, now so much is now in your hands as a voter, as electorate. Do you want to collect 5,000, 10,000, and commit power to misfits? Those are regarded as misfits.
Just because of our time, I'll have to quickly cut in. When you check, on Facebook, there's this place where they ask you political view. And then, a lot of people say, oh, Libra. Even when you're not American, you say Libra. But most Nigerians say apathetic. It shows you the mindset of Nigerians that, look, I'm becoming numb to the electoral activities in this country. First of all, isn't it a problem that we have relinquished the power, our power to the leaders? And then how do we also begin to ensure that this, voter apathy, where people say, look, my vote doesn't count, how do we ensure that, look, we deal with that before the next election?
Oh, well, that's part of what we're doing right here, what I was saying before you came in, so apart from you and I, talking about telling citizens to get their PVC, because of course, the voters are the kingmakers in a democratic system or electoral process that has integrity. And I just said earlier, I said, gradually we'll begin to see that here. That's why if they can cough out money to buy your vote. Now it's all about, because ballot box snatching is becoming very unfashionable, all right? Everybody's getting to a point where you cannot do this. So if you cannot do this and go on to print, it means that it's what item print as a voter that matters. That's why they would bring the ill-gotten wealth, all right, to buy the votes from you. So what we can do is, those of you, the journalists, all right, electronic and print media, that their witness should be a continuous thing from now to the elections. Do not sell your vote. If they must bring the money, after all, Nigerians have been made hungry, impoverished. My view as the Senator Akon is collect the money. It's not even their money, it's ill-gotten. Collect the money, you need it. But vote your conscience, all right? Conscience now used in a sense because you say, what conscience do you have if you collected money? Hey, a hungry man, that wouldn't matter so much to him. He needs to stay alive. Collect the money and vote who you think can deliver on the promises, who can do well for the country, for your local government, for your state, and for the nation. That is what I'll say, because they will never stop wanting to buy votes. So the way to frustrate vote buying is collect the money.
Okay, so we're
and
going
do
to
the right
money.
thing.
Are you saying?
Vote the good and proper candidate, no matter what. They can't grab you and collect the money.
Okay, Barrister,
because they won't own up that they gave you money.
We are wrapping up. You are saying collect the money and don't vote for them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you're saying.
Collect the money because you
in wrapping up, I know that the last
vote
election,
for Nigeria.
I know that the last election, you were part of that election. You contested and did not, you didn't pass through. But looking at what really happened in that election, do you think someone gave monies out or something went wrong?
A lot happened. Monies were given at various stages. And of course, the worst part in all of this is the umpire, INEC. To a large extent, the 2015 elections were very, very, very largely fair. INEC, there was rigging, we know, but the government of the day allowed a free hand. That's the point I'm trying to make. Allowed a free hand to INEC and to Nigerians, to the institutions, to see, because they wanted to advance democracy. And that is why we expect this government to build on what they took over from the last government, all right, on the integrity of our electoral process. I heard about the card readers not being, used in Ekiti for various reasons. Why? We must use the card readers. We must implement electronic voting, which does not allow, for rigging, for manipulation. Even though, of course, we've seen that maybe through hacking or into the system, like Rocha is accused of having done in the years, we can deal with that separately. But for now, let's ensure that the vote I cast, all right, reflect at the collating center, and that my party agent here knows all those that voted. We have it. There's replica. That is how the system should be made. You know, if APC is voted, the APC rep should have it. It should reflect with him. The PDP should have it, so that there's no controversy.
Okay.
Where I never report anything contrary, and you go to the tribunals, we have the evidence to show that what we collated from our agents, all right, shows a completely different thing. We need integrity in the electoral process so that Nigerians will be and remain the kingmakers.
In wrapping up, Barrister, what are the implications if we begin to do politics in elections? When we begin to do politics of elections, people begin to politicize everything that is happening before and after elections. What are the implications? Just final words. Integrity.
It will usher integrity, all right, into the process. You see, the thing about darkness or thief, you know, why do thieves go in the dark? Why do we do bad things in the dark or behind closed doors? Because we don't want to be seen or heard. A thief who doesn't want to touch a car that the alarm rings, he runs away. When you shout, thief, thief, ole, ole, the person runs away. You know, so when we give this hype, all right, and they know, look, the people have been sensitized, they are vigilant, they're watching. You know, there's restraint on the part of those who have been scheming and doing these things all over time. You know, so we need to keep that tempo, you know, now up to the elections and beyond. That's what said Nigerians should come out, get their PVCs, all right, vote right. Do not collect, do not sell your vote, all right? Don't sell your vote. But if they must give money, collect the money and vote right for Nigeria, because it's about your future, for yourself and for your posterity. We can't remain like this. We need to change the way we reason, the way we do things, the way our governance is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister Destiny Talcon. Thank you for coming on this edition of the program. Well, up next is Superdawn Sports. We're going to show you what happened yesterday. You remember that we are having the African Athletics competition in Asaba. Well, yesterday was another day. We'll bring that to you. It is Superdawn Sports. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed. Now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.